Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee with Kem and Hills. I know it's been a second.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been a second. A lot has changed. Well, I've grown.
Yeah.
I'm growing.
Look at that baby belly.
It's happening.
She's growing a human in there.
I am growing a human in there. That is why I will no longer be wearing a pants
Yes.
to work. It will be
It's
dresses.
also summertime, so
I
pants
know.
are not necessary.
This pregnancy is looking out for me. Otherwise, I would have been stretch pants every day when I came to work. How has your, brief time off been?
It's been good. Super busy.
Yeah. I mean, you went to Disney.
We did. We did Disney World. We did the Magic Kingdom for one day only.
And you brought your daughter for the first time ever.
First time ever. And she is obsessed with princesses and Minnie and Mickey and Mickey's Clubhouse. And she's also obsessed with Star Wars right now.
Was she overwhelmed by it, or was?
Yeah, she was super overwhelmed by it.
I
which
can't
was
even
hilarious.
imagine
The first half hour she sat there in her stroller and she was just like.
The thing though is they get strollers.
Right. The stroller was key. Even though, we didn't use it as much as I thought we would. We parked it a lot and left it. But it was super helpful because it was 85 degrees and humid.
It's hot.
But it was overcast most of the day, so it wasn't it wasn't scorching.
That makes a huge
it was
difference.
pleasant.
Yeah.
But we brought a ton of water bottles. So as we went through them, we just left them in the bottom of the stroller someplace.
Smart.
And so we didn't care.
Did you bring your own?
We did. We brought
Save
a
money.
travel stroller, which was super helpful.
That's nice.
It did not have a little cover on it. Our travel stroller doesn't have a
Sure. To keep the sun off.
to keep the sun off.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It was super helpful and helped us get around the park efficiently.
I bet a water bottle at Disney would cost $8 or something.
I think it was $5 for a small 12-ounce bottle.
Oh, jeez.
And so we had brought our own water bottles. Mine's a 32 ounces. And
Yeah, you have to.
we had a couple of those, so it was way better.
Yep. Okay, good.
Yeah. But it was a great day. We had a lot of fun. Spent a lot of time on the Dumbo ride.
Did you ride it multiple times?
Multiple times.
Of course.
Yes. It also had no line, which was great.
Yeah.
Because they have two of them at Disney World.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. They're right next to each other. So.
That's great.
And they have, pro tip, if you have small children.
We like tips.
At Disney World. So in the Dumbo area, not only do they have two Dumbo rides, which Disneyland only has one. The line is always super long.
Yeah.
But your line goes through this circus tent into air conditioning. Awesome.
Thank you, Disney.
Thank you, Disney. And you can make a stop off, and they have this circus tent playground that's inside in air conditioning that only kids can play on.
While you're waiting?
While you're waiting, or you can just go do that. We did that for an hour.
Oh!
Which was amazing. Kids
it's nice for the parents.
And parents can't go on the structure, so it's
you get a break.
Yeah, you get a break. There were so many parents who were napping. It was hilarious.
It's exhausting.
It was exhausting.
Yeah, we took our little one to Florida, and it was our first time flying with a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's
a struggle.
14 months old, and it was her first time. And the way back, we were those people on the plane. I mean, when she finally fell asleep after screaming and clawing, I had a very private cry to myself on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you know what? We had to break the seal. We're going to be doing it again. So it's part of life.
Yep.
And I think the big thing was just releasing the fear of the judgment. And thankfully we had a mother next to us who was she was so loving, and she was please, if I can help, I understand this.
Right.
I just want to let people know, if you see parents with their little ones on the plane and you're just kind to them, how much it means. I mean, truly.
Totally. I think there's always that stress and nervousness of when your child is acting up in public or especially in plane travel.
Yes.
But the reality of it is, I feel is one, a lot of people who are traveling are parents or have been parents, so they aren't super annoyed. And if you are annoyed, then don't take public transportation. Like,
right.
I get it. It's a private thing, but like,
yeah.
Fly private if you really are going to be annoyed by children.
Totally.
And two, they're so noisy, like the background noise, and everybody has on headphones anyway.
I know. And most planes have little TVs, and people are just watching their things.
So it's really not too much of an inconvenience.
Murphy has some lungs on her.
Right. Yeah, especially at 14 months. They're definitely grown into that, I'm sure.
Yeah, she was not having it that flight back. But you know what? I feel like I got like a badge of like honor. So like I've done it.
Right. You've ripped off the Band-Aid and now you're like, okay, we got this.
Yeah, exactly. Whew. But yeah, kudos to all parents out there. Mm-hmm. It's just not easy.
No.
Not as easy as it used to be. All right. Well, now that we are caught up, I feel like we could go on forever because I feel like a lot has happened. We're going to get into some hot topics. And we're going to start with another housing bubble. We're skating close to one, says Economist. And this is from Fortune?
This is.
Okay, yes. So I didn't know the definition of a housing bubble, so I had to separately Google that and look that up. And for those who are with me on this, it's basically what we're experiencing right now. A housing bubble occurs when real estate demand outpaces supply, causing the average price of properties for sale to rise. So yes, I was unfamiliar with like the actual what it was called, but I am not unfamiliar that this is what is happening in real estate right now. It's wild out there.
It is wild, and I think one of the interesting points that the article points out is that the housing market inventory is down 52% to pre-pandemic levels. So that is one of the reasons that's driving housing prices up, is that there's just not a lot of inventory and people are still looking. And depending on where you're at, right? But it seems like every region is like,
I mean, by definition, it sounds like we are in a housing bubble.
Right.
And they also
we just don't want it to burst. That's the thing.
Yeah, we don't want the bubble to burst. Okay. And all major real estate research firms are forecasting that housing prices will continue to rise over the coming year. So hopefully, again, it won't rise so much that the bubble will just go poof, but you know.
Well, and one of the reasons why the Fed has raised interest rates is so that, and mortgage rates have gone up, is to compensate for that and hopefully mitigate this craziness that's happening within the housing market.
Yeah, I mean, people won't be able to sell houses at that price if interest rates continue to climb because people will just simply not be able to afford it.
Right. I think it's really interesting. So in December, interest rates were for a 30-year mortgage were at 3.11%.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. Great rate. But for a $500,000 mortgage, we're paying $2,138 per month.
I'm so glad you wrote this down. I was like, this is crazy.
Versus in the last quarter, so the first quarter of 2022, they're up. Interest rates are up to 5.11%.
Which doesn't sound like a huge difference.
Right. It doesn't. But then when you factor in, so monthly for the same mortgage, 30-year fixed, for a $500,000 house, you're paying $2,700 per month, which over the lifetime of the loan,
potentially on a 30-year mortgage. I mean, that's a lot of money. Are you doing the math?
$208,000 more that you're paying for the same property.
Did you just do that in your head?
Yeah, I tried.
Wow. I'm very impressed. Mathematics is not my forte, but you know, that's a lot of money. I know that much. And
so that's one of the ways that they're trying to ease this bubble from becoming a bubble and bursting.
Right.
Like, that's the hard thing about a bubble. We don't want it to burst because everybody wants to keep their housing prices or, you know, the way they are, or continue to go in a slightly up trajectory, not just crazy up and then a crash. But there are things in place we learned from the 2008-2009 housing bubble crash. You know, luckily Dodd-Frank was passed in 2010, so that's helping some of these shady loans that were happening in the aughts that aren't able to happen shady now. So I feel like, the article did also reference that people don't anticipate us being in a bubble because they don't see it bursting. They do see possibly a correction happening, especially in certain regional markets, which, feels natural.
Totally. But it still is very hard for first-time home owners. Like they're, it would just be a very difficult time because, there's such limited inventory. The prices are so high. Meanwhile, the interest rates are going up, which is affecting just what you're looking at long-term and what you're going to be spending. It would be very difficult as a first-time homeowner to be, trying to get into the market right now. So I do not envy that process for any of you, and I'm wishing you all the best of luck that you find like a gem out there.
Exactly.
If you are doing it.
Find that hidden gem.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we will be right back with more hot topics. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us as well. We have another great hot topic to dive into, and it is how HNW, that stands for High Net Worth Millennials, and Gen Zers view their wealth. And this is from Think Advisor. Yes. So, basically, the baby boomer generation, how do you say this?
Has a lot of money. And
they have a lot of money. Well, and at some point they will be passing on that wealth because that time comes for us all at some point.
Yes.
This is very cryptic.
They will be passing on their accumulated wealth in what is called the Great Wealth Transfer.
Yes, this is projected to be a pretty hefty wealth transfer.
$84 trillion will be passing from the baby boomer generation to either millennials or Gen Z.
Yes. So
it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. But it's interesting because the way the baby boomers kind of grew up and how they worked really hard for their money, sort of their values and what was important to them, is just different from a lot of millennials and Gen Zers because they grew up without sort of the fear of the what if financially that the baby boomers did have. So there is less concern for the millennials and the Gen Zers about like, how am I going to take care of myself? And even how am I going to take care of my family? Whereas that was, priority for the boomers. I want to make sure there's food on the table, and clearly this isn't everybody's case. This is not
everybody's case, but in the case of high net worth individuals.
High net worth individuals.
Your
HNW.
HNWs.
That is the official abbreviation. That's like a thing. Yep.
So a lot of the baby boomers, the article points out, are first generation high net worth individuals. So this is not talking about familial wealth that has gone back generations, but most of the baby boomers in this great wealth transfer are people who've worked hard for their money, invested for it, made the right decisions, et cetera, et cetera.
Planned. It's like they were watching ROI TV their whole life.
Goodness. And so they have a different mindset than their kids or their grandkids who, to your point, didn't necessarily have to worry about if their food was going to be on the table or how to pay for college because their parents were taking care of it because they weren't earning enough money.
There wasn't this fear within the household of that I think the baby boomers were maybe experiencing
financial
a bit more.
insecurity.
Yes, there was less financial insecurity. But I thought it was interesting that these high net worth millennials and Gen Zers are, finding a lot of their self-worth and their identity through philanthropic work and, just becoming really invested in, investing in the community and the greater good of the world and humanity. I think that's really interesting. And I'm curious to see years down the road how and if that pays off and what that will look like.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And one of the distinctions that the article also makes is that baby boomers were also philanthropic, but more in a what it was happening within their community. So helping out, the local church, the local library, the local school system, and, and other things too, but working more on a local scale within their own community to foster change. Whereas millennials and Gen Zers are like, we've got some really big problems to fix.
Got an existential crisis on our hands.
Global issues. So we're going to put our philanthropic money towards more global issues of climate change and, world hunger and other things that feel almost impossible to change, but every bit counts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that pays off as well in the end with the wealth that has been passed on to them. And is that going to maintain itself with this mentality throughout the generations, or will it sort of die out at some point because, the mentality, there isn't sort of that fear of I need to earn, make, and but I did think this was an interesting article, and I do I feel that spirit of people focusing on the really big picture issues, whether it's social injustice, environmental concerns, which are major. It's you definitely do feel a shift for sure.
It's true.
It's true. Okay, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but we will be right back to tell you about the shows airing today on ROI TV. Welcome back, everyone. I just wanted to remind you not to miss today's episodes of Cunningham Legal, Mortgage Q&A, Medicare School, and Elder Needs Law. They're all great episodes. You will not want to miss them. You can catch them all where?
You can catch ROI TV on Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, or your Roku app. Or you can check us out on your phone on our iOS or Android apps.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Coffee with Kem and Hills, and we will see you tomorrow with another big old cup of hot coffee.